What does that even mean, Bauer's Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review charged by BoardGameExchange.com, the internet's only game rental website. And today I'll be reviewing something a little bit different. Today I will be reviewing Disaster on Everest from Victory Point Games. And this is a one-player game for ages 10 and up. And it'll take anywhere from 45 to 75 minutes to play the bad boy. And let's go back and say this is for one player only. There's no two-player variant. There's no four-player variant. So that in itself is very unique. This is called a solitaire game if you've never played any like this. Another thing you might notice is it comes in a bag. And this bag is actually the bag that you would purchase it in. Victory Point Games decided, I'm imagining to save a little bit of money, to put it in a bag. So let's take a look at the bag. The bag itself is about 9 to 10 inches that away, and about another 5 to 6 inches on the bottom, and as you can imagine, extremely thin. But everything you are going to need to play this game is inside the bag. So, in Disaster on Everest, what are you going to be doing? You are going to be you're going to play as tour guides, trying to get all of your people up to the top of Mount Everest and down again before a massive storm hits you. And along the way, lots of things are going to happen. There'll be ice, and there'll be a bunch of stuff coming at you, and you're going to have to manage all of that. Is it a good game? Is it a bad game? Let's open it up and find out. Alright, so inside of Disaster on Everest, let's take a look at what you're going to get in your bag. First and foremost, you're going to get a lot of information about Victory Point Games and some of their other games. There's 4 little sheets here. They're going to have information on their different games and their mission statement and what have you. You're going to get your handy-dandy rule booklet, which is very, very nice. It's a pretty rule book to look at. And it is only 2 pages front and back, and it will answer every question you have about this game, and it will hold your hand as you're playing the game, which is something I really appreciate. You're going to get a whole bunch of pop-out chips, which you'll need to pop out, and they represent numerous different things. There's these ones that you're going to keep in this bag that will represent different things that are going to happen as you're going up and down the mountain. You have your tour guides over here who have special abilities. You've got your people, and they come in 4 different colors for the 4 different travel agencies. And these are the people you're going to try to safely get up and down the mountain. You have your blocked ridge one, which when you, at certain points throughout the game, pretty much every turn, you're going to block some ridges, which means no one can go past there unless they have a special ability. You've got your storm tracker, which will, if you get to the 10, the game is over, but that's going to keep track of your storm. You have your prestige track, which is sort of like currency in the game. And last, you have your summit and Hillary step, which these are just symbolizing how far your people have gotten up and down the mountain. The last thing you're going to get, a little pet feed, is this dice. Look at that. That is extremely small, but it's serviceable. It will get the job done. You're also going to get this, which will represent all the people on your expedition. You have your guides' names and your clients' names, the name of your company, and that's going to help you with keeping score. And last, you're going to get your player aid card. This thing you will need with you every time you play the game until you play it 10 or 20 times, because it has information on the special abilities your guides have, some of the advanced rules and how that affects the game, and also what all the different chips in the bag do, which is extremely useful. And on the back, it has your victory chart, because it's depending on how many points you get. If you get 5 points, you lose. Obviously, if you get 40, you have a minor victory, and it goes up and down scales based on how well you did. It's a very complex game, so I'm going to try and just hit on the gist of how the game works. So in Disaster on Everest, you are going to try and get your 6 people up and down the mountain safely. How are you going to do that? You're going to be moving them up and down with your guide. So let's just go over a quick mock hand so you can see exactly how it works. First thing you're going to do is you're going to draw an event token out of this little baggie. So let's see what the first one we get. The first one we get is an energy boost. Now this is going to have 2 numbers on it. It's going to have a 4 on the bottom, a black 4, which means now that ridge is blocked. So no one can go right past there, because that's just the way it works. That is a blocked ridge. No one can pass it unless they have a special ability. Also, it has a orange 3. That is how much prestige it will cost you to purchase this. So if you're going to purchase this, it's going to cost you 3 on your little prestige track. So the last thing you're going to do is look and see what exactly does an energy boost do. It sounds like a good thing. We'll look at our handy-dandy player aid card, and we will read that an energy boost will help the clients move an extra space this turn. So that is really useful. This is something you definitely would consider purchasing. However, if you don't have the money or you don't want it, because there are bad ones that sometimes you don't want, you're going to put it down here on the storm tracker. Once the storm tracker gets to 6, the storm will hit and all of, it hits the fan, so to speak. But we'll get to the storm in a second. So you're going to decide whether or not you're going to purchase it. Then you are going to move your team. You have 3 options. You can move 4 clients, a certain number of spaces. So this guy can go 2 because he's got a 2 on him, a 1. Some have 0. Some have 3. You can move 4 of those guys. You can move 2 of your guides and let your guides carry these people up, since some of them have special abilities. Like this guy is fast and strong, so he can carry 2 people 3 spaces. Some of them can go through blocked ridges. Some of them have special abilities during the storm. There's a nice mixture of special abilities. Or you can move 1 guide and 2 clients. And depending on where you're at in the game, that's what you're going to need to decide is how you manage all that. There's a lot of micromanagement. You're going to be trying to figure out exactly what you do a lot of points in this game. And a lot of times you're going to make the wrong decision. Sometimes you make the right decision. And that's part of the fun of the game. So once you've moved your people, you're going to take care of what's called the Hillary step. And the Hillary step is where people are going to get bottlenecked and clogged on the mountain. Without the Hillary step, this game would be incredibly easy. But you can be stuck on the Hillary step for a good deal of time, and that's something I'm not going to get into because it's really complex about when you put people on. You're going to put other people from other agencies on there and what have you. So we're really not going to get into that. But the thing that you do want to know is when the storm hits. Once you get to 6 on the storm watch, because you put 6 of these things right here, the storm will hit at the beginning of next round. Once the storm hit, everything goes crazy. The guides, for the most part, lose their special abilities. They can only go a certain number of spaces. Actually, obviously, it's less than 6. And I believe it is the people can only move 1 space per turn. However, everyone gets to move because everyone's just like, I need to get the heck off of this mountain. Either way, you'll try and get up and down. And also in the storm phase, normally you can go on these ridges and you'll be just fine. However, on the storm phase, if you're on a ridge, you can die. What you're going to do is you're going to roll the dice, and it says lost on a 1 or a 2. So if you get on here with one of your people, say here's Kelly, and he rolls a 1 or a 2, he is lost, potentially dead. Not good for your score at the end. But once this reaches 10, the game is over immediately, and you're going to add up your score. You'll be using this scoreboard to figure out exactly how that works. And as I mentioned, you'll add up the points, and you'll see exactly how you did. You might have a major victory, which says, what more could be said? Books are written, movies are produced, blah, blah, blah. Or it could be a major defeat. Your company is disgraced, lawsuits soon follow, etc., etc. Kind of a nice little touch there. And that's basically how Disaster on Everest is played. All right, Disaster on Everest from Victory Point Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros. Let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, some people are not going to like the fact that this is a solitaire game. Completely understandable. There's no 2-player version, so if you're not into solitaire games, obviously don't go buy this game. If you don't play by yourself, you're not going to want this. Some people are going to be really bugged by the fact that there's no box. This is what you get. You can't buy a box. They don't have a box that you can purchase. That's going to bug some people. Me personally, I don't really care. It's all about the gameplay, at least in my opinion. Also, the components are not the nicest. They're serviceable at best. However, they get the job done, which is the really important part. And last but not least, especially when you're playing the advanced version, sometimes you're going to get a little bit confused about which players still have movements left and which players can't move this round or can move this round. And you might say, oh, did I miss a storm tracker? Just little things like that really are your own fault for not paying attention. But little things like that, just those are the only cons I have. On to the pros. I love this game. I was completely floored by this game. I could not believe how much I really enjoyed this game. I am by no means a one-player gamer. I don't normally play by myself when I play board games. My board game is normally 2 when I'm with my fiance or my buddies, or up to 8, 9, 10 when I'm doing party games. But normally our game night consists of about 4 to 6 people. So a one-player game I was like, a little bit hesitant. But I really enjoyed this game. And I will get down to what I enjoyed most. I really loved the theme of this game. I was sucked in and immersed by this theme, and I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there, I'm rocking my baby, I'm playing this game, trying to learn the rules and everything, and I really started to get into it. every single person has their own name that you're getting up the mountain. You're not just getting meeples up the mountain. Everybody has their own names and their own point value based on their profession. Obviously, if a zoologist dies, it's not as big a deal as if a world-famous athlete dies. You have to focus on who you need to keep alive because you're probably not going to be able to keep everybody alive up and down the mountain. And at that point, you're playing God. You're like, oh, man, I need to get this guy down, even though it's going to be more convenient to get this guy down. And you're going to have these gut-wrenching decisions if you really get into the game, which I did. I really loved that aspect. Also, I was listening to rock music and I was just like pretending like I was in a movie. The storm gets closer and closer and closer, and I'm just imagining, us up on this mountain, and somebody's like, oh, you gotta get down that mountain right now. There's a freaking storm coming. I really got into the theme. Unlike, honestly, this might be the most immersed I have ever gotten into a board game. And I wonder if it's because I was playing by myself. Normally when you're playing a game with somebody, you're talking about this, you're talking about that, and you're not completely into the game. And I was really into this game. Getting back on track, what else did I like about it? I personally like the bag. This is incredibly compact. You can take it anywhere you want to go, which I really do like. Even though I do like boxes, I was not complaining about that. I like the board. I like the artwork on the board. I like just about everything about this game. Disaster on Everest from Victory Point Games. If you are in the market for a one-player game, I highly recommend you try this game. It is fantastic. Disaster on Everest, Victory Point Games should be on your shelf, in your suitcase, in your purse, what have you. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for your time, YouTube.
That was the review for Disaster on Everest. For more reviews, check back at Bauer's Game Corner. And also be sure to check out Board Game Exchange, the nationwide board game rental service.